Welcome to the Sovereign Teacher. I teach spiritual integration through tarot, family constellations, embodiment, and A Course in Miracles. And today I'm going to do a video I'm going to do the astrological reading for Virgo, because we're going to be in a Virgo full moon eclipse tonight into tomorrow, Tuesday, March 3rd. So today's Monday, March 2nd. So I want to know what Virgo has to tell us. So the question is, how is your soul being invited to live in alignment with the new earth? And we're listening to Virgo. So we're going to first get a card from the Divine Beloved deck. Okay, I don't think it's that one. I think that was okay. Protection. I am safe. Divinity. And desires. Okay. Change me, Divine Beloved, into one who is protected from all negative energy and predictions. Fill me with your dazzling and radiant light. Make me a vessel for your love. I now release all fears I have absorbed from others. Amen. Divinity, I know my true identity. May I always remember my true identity, unlimited light and love. Let me know myself as pure consciousness. Wake me from the sleepwalk of believing I am only human. And desires. I offer all longings to you. Change me, Divine Beloved, into one who offers all longings to you. Let me feel whole, knowing all true needs will be handled. You are my source for all. Amen. That feels very right on for Virgo, the Virgo eclipse. Or the eclipse, well, I just said it, I'm not gonna get hung up on words. Okay, so let's start with Aries. Where are you being called to begin? But again, this is Virgo is speaking to us through all these signs. Seeker. Light attribute. Thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are. Okay. Inability to commit to a path once found is a shadow attribute. Seeker. So this is where you're being called to begin as the seeker of your own truth, which may be different from other people's truth. And let's get a card from the Light Seers Tarot. Would really like only one card from each because I want it to be quick, but we got two. The Four of Cups and the Four of Swords. Very interesting. Okay. So fours are about, like, they're kind of static. They're about stability. So the Four of Cups, maybe feeling like a little bit of lack. Focused on what you don't have rather than what you do have. And the Four of Swords, resting and going within. So there seems to be a need for balance between that. As a seeker, going out looking for something, that which you don't have, which would be the Four of Cups, or feeling like you don't have it. But then looking inward, because actually that is where you're going to find it. Okay, so the second house, Taurus, value, safety, body, worth, nervous system, and money. We're going to pull a card from the archetypes. What does Virgo want to say about this house? Okay. This is just one of these cards, so shadow attribute. Maybe looking at the shadow here. Looking at the shadow, which I would say at the shadow, what is it that you don't want to see around this? And angel, helping those in need with no expectation of return. That's funny because I was thinking of money and how money seems to be the big issue for this planet right now. Everybody worships money. It's like such in a wrong place. And this can get us going in the right direction. Helping those in need with no expectation of return. Okay. That feels right. Then we have the Tower. So the collapse of that. There's going to be a collapse of that. We're going to see that money doesn't mean anything. We created the meaning of money. Okay, Gemini, mind meaning. And the question is, what story is being told? Okay, gambler and priest. The gambler, willingness to follow intuition even when others doubt you. Relying on luck rather than hard work is the shadow attribute. And the priest, light attribute, is facilitates spiritual commitments, serves as a channel of spiritual energy. And the shadow attributes are violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. And I think, you know, based on what's been happening in the world lately, that is what we're looking at. We're looking at people that we looked up to betraying us with their actions. Their actions did not align with their word. And that sense of violating the trust of your spiritual community. And so in the gambler one, really, I see is about trusting your own intuition, learning to trust yourself rather than looking to a higher, somebody that you think has more than you do. And I don't know if you saw my previous video, but I talked about how I myself, as a marriage and family therapist, people had looked up to me as if I had all the answers. And I was struggling just like them. I could see, just like, I mean, like coaches do, I can see you differently. I can see you from, I have a better perspective of you than I do of myself. But really, you're the one who knows what you're trying to create. You're the one who knows what you're seeking. So you really need to learn to trust yourself. And we got the Queen of Cups for this. So the Queen of Cups is all about love and holding love and being love. So that is the story that's being told. How can you identify with your true self, love? Okay, now we're going into Cancer, and Cancer is the fourth, in the fourth house, belonging and attachment, what needs to be held. Okay, what needs to be held? The storyteller and Don Juan. Okay, so I talk about in a lot of my videos letting go of the story. The light attribute of the storyteller is the ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. So this also can be, the reason that we're holding it is because we don't want to identify with it. So if we can hold it, we can take a step back and see it rather than identify it with it and believe the story. We can just hold the storyteller. And that helps us to not identify with that. And the Don Juan light attribute spotlights your positive, seductive qualities. So the shadow attribute is using the power of romantic attraction for private agendas. And we all know how effed up sexuality is in our world, so it makes sense that this is here too, and that we can feel that way without being overcome by it, and without being, and still use our judgment and our ability to take steps back and not react. And I think that goes along with the other one too, is we can feel a certain way, but we don't have to act on those feelings. Some of it could be natural, and others is a power imbalance. Okay, let's see what we got about that. The sun. So shedding light on that. Allowing our light to come through and love, unconditional love and light for these parts of ourselves, the storyteller and the Don Juan. Being able to love these parts of ourselves. And, you know, like, I am kind of relating this to that, which cannot be, I don't know, I think maybe you get this, hopefully. I don't really want to, I don't want to say it right now, but sexuality that has become about power, using the power of romantic attraction for private agendas. I think we know what I'm talking about. So the part of it that is natural and normal, the feelings of, let's just say, I know that people have a hard time with this, but we all love innocence, and there's something there. There's something there that can be healthy, but it was perverted and it was turned into power and ego. So we want to love the part of it that is natural and help it to find its natural place. Because what I have learned through all of the types of therapy that I've done, internal family systems, emotionally focused couples therapy, family constellations, is that there is no part of you that you can just cast out or try to kill. What you can do is learn to love the essence of it, and then help it find its rightful and healthy place in you and in society, in culture, in life. In all of those models, I found that same message over and over and over again. And you can probably find it in anything, in any place, in any science, you'll find the same thing. You know, they call it fractals. That's another way. I'm sure it's there too. Okay, Leo. Where does my soul want to shine? Creativity, leadership, joy. Where does my soul want to shine? Where does my soul want to shine? So I'm doing this for the eclipse too, because they're talking about, with the eclipse, it eclipsing certain parts of us. So that would imply that these parts go away. When in fact I think what really is happening is they're being integrated and finding their rightful place within us. For example, I have a part that just works really hard, really tries hard, a big part actually, to be loved, to be heard, to be valued. And I'm feeling like that part of me, I'm letting go of that part of me. But because of everything that I've learned, I know that I'm not really letting go of it. It's just going to fall back and integrate. So what is the essence of that part? Okay, the Knight. This is Leo. This is the part that wants to shine. Loyalty, romance, chivalry, a love of honor. Okay. And then the shadow attribute is allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions. So this is about being loyal to yourself. And in being loyal to yourself, you're being loyal to your higher self, your spirit, which is everything, God, love. So that's what you're going to be loyal to and devoted to. That's what wants to shine. Your ability to connect with everything and that devotion to love and life. Okay. And probably that's where that part of me is going to go. It's going to go into that, devoting myself to life and love. And it's not a battle, it's just allowing. And we got the Eight of Swords. I do want to see what that one is. Or how that one relates. Okay, so she sees herself as all bound and imprisoned and trapped, but really she's not. Like, you can see that she's looking at herself, but that isn't really what's there. And that really fits this, the shadow, allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions, that you don't have the power within you. So being loyal to yourself, uncovering who you truly are. Okay, and now we're going to go into Virgo. Virgo, what do you want to tell us about this particular placement? Integration, repair, what needs tending or refining? Okay, and we got the Samaritan and the Prince. Romantic charm and potential for power is the Prince. And Samaritan refines your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore. Exacting appreciation, the shadow attribute is exacting appreciation and recognition for the help you offer. Again, that goes back to one of the first cards that we saw. So this is just helping. What is it that you believe in beyond everything else that you would do even if you never got paid for it or you didn't get compensated for it? That part of us needs to be tended to. And romantic charm and potential for power. Using power, the shadow attribute of this one is using power for self-aggrandizement. So that needs to be refined. What is the essence of this? How can we learn to love the essence of this so it can find its rightful place? Let's get a message from the tarot. And we got the Seven of Swords, but upside down. So this suggests sneakiness. So seeing parts of ourselves that we don't want to see. But I do want to get a little bit from that. Calling yourself out on, where you, I don't know how to say it, but where your shadow, basically. Let me see if I can find a way of saying it from this card. Lying to yourself or others, a need for perspective, honesty, secrets, something stolen, taking more than your fair share, being held back by imposter syndrome. So I act from a place of love and morality, and the universe witnesses my honest intentions. Okay, so being honest with yourself. That's what needs to be repaired and refined. Because if you're honest with yourself, you know that we all have all of these parts that you're judging other people for. And when they're out of balance, they become perverted. They become messed up. But we all have that potential given the right context or the wrong context. Okay, so now we're in Libra, relationship as a mirror. Where am I being met by relational other? Or relational truth. Where am I being met by other relational truth? Midas, miser, and mystic. Mystic revels in intimate union with the divine. And the shadow attribute is a delusional rapport with the divine. This is a mystic. And Midas, miser, entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything to gold, delight in sharing life's riches. The shadow attributes are hoarding money and emotions, obsessive fear of losing your wealth. Okay, so you're looking at both sides of that. And acknowledging that we have both sides of that. Acknowledging that we have this pure potential within us to create anything. And that when we're not in touch with it, we hoard money and emotions and have this obsessive fear of losing wealth. Because like it goes back to another card where we talked about we created the meaning of money, or I talked about we created the meaning of money. What is the true essence or energy of it? It's appreciation. Okay, I'm not sure how the mystic goes in there, but we'll see what happens. The moon. Okay, because I think because it's the unconscious, what's unconscious in us. The mystery. It's being able to have a relationship with the mystery and to not know, being willing to not know. Okay. Scorpio. Shadow power, what must be felt, released, and transformed. Virgo's getting right to the truth, to the heart of everything. It's cutting right to the truth, is what I'm noticing here. It's like not going to take any, BS. It's like, nope. All right, so we got the wounded child. That makes sense. What must be felt, released, and transformed? The wounded child. So the basic wound that we all struggle with is feeling that we were abandoned here. Like that there is no God. There is no higher spirit, higher, what am I looking for? Higher power, that there is no higher power, and that we're here all on our own. That is the core wound that we all have. Awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children, opens the learning path of forgiveness. The shadow attribute is blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resist moving on through forgiveness. Okay, so that's what needs to be felt, released, and transformed. And we got the King of Pentacles for that. So bringing the King of Pentacles to that. Okay, let me see what that means. What needs to be felt, released, and transformed? Well, that could have to do with money. Let's look. Overflowing material abundance, patience and determination, a confident and warm leader providing for others, comfort and security, personal growth, goals reached, prosperity and success. Okay, so that must be felt, released, and transformed. So we must be able to feel that we must be able to feel abundance, that we have this abundance, or we are this abundance. I dream my endless potential into existence with steady desire and effort. Maybe you don't see it right away, but if you keep working towards things, and that doesn't mean like that you don't you're not in the flow of giving and receiving, because you have to be in the flow of that and not just doing. Being and being able to receive and finding that flow. Okay, that's cool. Sagittarius, meaning or vision. What larger truth is guiding me? Okay, we got the Mother. The light attributes: nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy, and giving birth to life. Shadow attributes are smothering or abandoning children, instilling guilt in children for becoming independent. Okay, so unconditional love. We all want that unconditional love, nurturance, patience, compassion, joy, connection. So that's the larger truth that's guiding us. The need for mother, the need for the feminine. Okay, that was too many cards, hopefully. Okay, but we got the Two of Cups, the Four of Wands, the Six of Wands, and the Ace of Wands. What's that story? Okay. All wands, fire. So these are the larger, this is the larger truth that's guiding us. Illumination, intense creativity, the mirror-like nature of consciousness, interconnectedness of all things. That's what's guiding us, the larger truth that's guiding us. This desire to be seen, celebration, ritual, devotion, and connection. Connecting to life force energy, connecting to love, that desire. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. All right, Capricorn, what am I being asked to take responsibility for? Guide, vampire, and rescuer. All right. Guide represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. And the shadow attribute is places financial gain and control over imparting spiritual insight. So you have some sort of gift or guidance to offer. Rescuer provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. Okay, the shadow attribute is assumed the rescued will reciprocate and keeps the rescued one needy. And also, I think, comes from a place of hierarchy. This is part of the drama triangle or trauma triangle. So the rescuer needs to know that they are equal to that which they are rescuing, or those that they are rescuing. That we all need rescuing in times, and we all have some sort of gift to offer. So giving and receiving. And the vampire makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. Shadow attributes: depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining, and codependency. So being able to look at this and discern where you may be sucking others dry because you're not relying on your inner resources, or where others may be doing that to you, and not allowing that. Okay, so that's what you're being called to take responsibility for. You're being asked to take responsibility for that. This is so right on. And then the Knight of Swords. How is that related? Let's see. Saving the day, the pursuit of excellence, ambition, being assertive, success. I move quickly to help others, and as I do, my dream expands. So shadow side is unfocused and scattered energy, impatience, acting too quickly, the need for a logical solution, being held back by frustrating circumstances, stalling, being hard-edged and emotionally unavailable, unpredictability. So that would be what you're being asked to take responsibility for. Okay, now Aquarius. Liberation, the new earth. What wants to evolve beyond the old system? Oops, that was just one of the blank ones. So, space. When I get that, I just say space, needs stillness. So this is what wants to evolve. The servant. Delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. Again, having to do with like money being really, I mean, when I look out there, that's all I see is like everybody begging, asking for money, recognize me, give me money for this, give me money for that. It's just so, that's the first thing that I see with everything. And it feels just so off. It feels so wrong and it's exhausting. So the shadow attribute is using the lack of money as an excuse to not move forward with life. So taking money, decentralizing money. Okay, so that's Aquarius. And what was the question again? What wants to evolve beyond the old system? Delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. Okay. And I'm going to get one from the tarot, and I got the World. So something, maybe. Let's see how that relates. The world wants to evolve. The world wants to evolve beyond this. We're all exhausted by this, like competition for resources. There's not enough, scarcity mindset. Okay, that's all I need to say about that. Pisces is surrender, spirit. Where do I release and trust the mystery? Okay. And we got the Alchemist. So transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom, which is what I said in the beginning. It's being able to accept and love all parts of ourselves, the essence of every part, the natural feelings and desires of each part, and allowing that to just, loving that and allowing it to settle into you and integrate and find its place. Transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. What is really driving you? And the shadow attribute is misuse of power and knowledge that comes through spiritual practice. Okay, so transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. That is where we want to trust. We want to trust our own base motives and wisdom. That we're not bad. We're not evil. We are love. The other day I was talking to, like, I felt this anger and this like voice that was very judging and very mean and critical, and I allowed it to have a voice. And when it came out, I was like, that's not me. That's not me at all. Maybe it was an old part of me or an old voice that came from my ancestors. It was operating early in my life. That critical, like, and really just like mean voice. But I recognized when it came out, I'm like, that's not, I don't believe that anymore. That's not true. And so sometimes we need to be able to look at that and recognize that it isn't true for us anymore. Maybe it was at some point, but it's not anymore. And we got the Page of Swords. So see how she's walking a tightrope? She's learning to trust herself and her own knowledge and her own light and wisdom. See the light bulbs above her? And the Queen of Wands, our creativity, our spirit, our spark. That is what we need to be able to trust. That's such a beautiful message from the eclipse and the full moon in Virgo. So that was a message from Virgo for all of us. I think it was really cool. That's it.